Welcome to Module 2 of the new Practicum or Field Instructor Standardized Asynchronous Training, compiled by the Southern California Practicum Education Consortium. In this model, we will examine the various roles and responsibilities within field or practicum education and creating a shared internship experience. The terms field and practicum will be used interchangeably in this module and training course, as many universities are adopting changes in terminology. You will observe that both terms are employed when discussing the internship experience. The learning objectives for this module include understanding the goals of field or practicum education, understanding the roles of the university field or practicum team, understanding your role as an agency partner, and understanding the role and expectations of the social work student. Why is training necessary? The education policy and accreditation standards of the Council on Social Work Education refer to field or practicum education as the signature pedagogy. They therefore set the standards for the use of field or practicum education as an integral part of the social work degree program. In addition, they mandate that social work programs provide both orientation and training to all field or practicum instructors. As the signature pedagogy, the practicum is where the students develop skills through experiential learning in a supervised internship setting. The focus turns from acquisition of knowledge to the application of knowledge, meaning that the students will then take their classroom learning and apply it to their internship setting in the field. Students will also learn to successfully integrate theory into practice. And also, just as importantly, they will begin to be ready to enter the social work profession, either in an agency or other community setting. The required number of training hours for field or practicum instructors will differ between each university partner and can be anywhere from 8 to 16 hours. So be sure to check with the university that you are providing instruction for to confirm the specific requirements for a field or practicum instructor training course. The goals of field or practicum education are many, and in particular, I'd like to highlight the following. Field or practicum education is the opportunity to train competent social work practitioners. It is the opportunity to offer a positive learning experience within a structured, supervised setting. It is the opportunity for our students to partner with you as skilled, experienced, and motivated social work practitioners who also love to teach. Practicum or field education is an opportunity for the student to not just learn a skill or a trade, but also to become socialized to the profession of social work practice, and through that practice, to begin to develop a professional identity. It is also where we train our students in evidence-based practice methods that are consistent with current trends, as they also integrate their theory and practice. Most importantly, but also not the least, is that practicum education should be training students to think critically and develop essential self-awareness capability. We now move into orienting you to the different roles in field or practicum education. And we begin with the Director of Field Practicum. At some universities, this position may also be known as the Field or Practicum Coordinator. In this role, the individual is primarily responsible for the operations and the administration for the social work, field, or practicum education program. This person works to ensure that all accreditation standards are met and directly oversee the placement of all students in their respective program. The role also includes the development and implementation of policies and procedures for the practicum or field experience. They also work with their team to develop new placement sites and contracts, constantly reviewing the quality of the sites and engaging in the training of new field supervisors or practicum instructors. The director or coordinator, also in their role, work to resolve concerns and problems related to the instruction or the internship site. However, it is important to emphasize that the practicum liaison, whose role we'll be reviewing shortly, is the primary contact or the first contact whenever there is an issue of concern. The role of the field or practicum faculty liaison is multifaceted. This person is responsible to maintain contact with you as the agency, as the agency field instructor or practicum instructor. And they complete a minimum of 1 field visit per semester or quarter, depending on the university's terms. It is their job to ensure how the student is progressing in field. And they are available for additional information and consultation for you, and are available to intervene if difficulties arise during the practicum or internship experience. The field or practicum faculty liaison serves as both the professor for the seminar class, and also they are the liaison to ensure that the quality of the experience has been fully established. This person also monitors the student's conduct and to ensure that it is keeping with the university standards. And again, let me reiterate, they are your first contact when there is an issue or a concern. The field practicum instructor is the most important person as you set the tone for the type of social worker the student will be based on regarding socialization and the mentoring that you provide. The field practicum instructor is the primary supervisor assigned to the student at the internship site, and you will provide weekly dedicated supervision and are primarily responsible for the assignment of field activities, developing the scope of work with the intern, reviewing their work, reviewing weekly process recordings, facilitating reflection on learning, and giving ongoing feedback about their progress to them as well as to the faculty liaison. As I've stated before, the 1 hour of weekly face-to-face supervision will reinforce an MSW perspective to their experience. It is important to note that the student operates under the field practicum instructor's practice, and all student cases are considered that of the field practicum instructor. The Council on Social Work Education stipulates that a qualified field or practicum instructor holds an MSW degree from an accredited school of social work and has at least 2 years of experience in the field. On a rare occasion, this requirement can be waived on a case-by-case basis by the Director of Field Practicum Education or Coordinator, in the event that the agency does not have a qualified field instructor. The university in this situation may agree to provide the supplemental educational supervision to ensure that a social work perspective is being applied to the scope of work that the intern is performing at the agency. The agency will have a dedicated task supervisor who will oversee the assignments and have administrative authority over all student cases. This policy will vary by each university, so it is important to discuss any unique circumstances well before the student is confirmed for placement. It is important to note that the qualified field or practicum instructor must have the skills in the area of practice where they are supervising the student. This is an important consideration if the agency must consider hiring an off-site supervisor to cover the required weekly supervision requirement. In your role, you provide ongoing feedback, supervision, teaching, modeling, and assessment of the student's development of knowledge, skills, and values. In collaboration with the student, you also develop agency-specific goals and objectives and complete the learning plan and comprehensive skills evaluation with the student. In the next slide, we will continue to address the role of the field or practicum instructor and look briefly at 4 content areas to make field practicum instruction effective. Effective field instruction is comprised of 4 elements: commitment, clear structure and expectations, collaboration, and constructive feedback and fair evaluation. It is important that the student know that you are committed to their learning and are invested in their growth and development. We acknowledge that you have competing responsibilities as you must balance work with that of your role as an instructor. We know that you understand the commitment that is involved, and we know that you are invested in providing a wonderful learning experience for the student. Being able to discuss and establish clear expectations for the intern will not only help them to follow your guidance, but also serves to decrease anxiety, which we believe will lead to a rewarding and a successful outcome. A collaborative relationship with the student, the university, and the liaison is another important component of this experience. It is vital to discuss what is working well in the supervisory relationship or how it could be improved. Working collaboratively will have a positive impact on student performance. The relationship is most successful when it is approached as a shared experience. Regular feedback, both positive and constructive, as well as fair evaluations, have an impact on the supervisory relationship. The student in a learning role benefits from timely and responsive feedback, which in turn enables them to grow in confidence and assurance. Remember that the evaluation should never be a surprise to the student. And more about evaluation will be discussed in the training series. Of significant importance is also to point out that Britt and Gleaves in 2011 identified 9 factors that predict intern satisfaction. They are collaboration and mutual understanding, an established supervision agenda, knowledge, structured supervision, feedback, genuineness, warmth, professional manner, and rapport. Of particular note from this research study, the highest correlation of intern satisfaction were related to collaboration, knowledge, feedback, genuineness, and professional manner. The first function of a field instructor is administrative. This function includes ensuring that the student understands the agency's policies and procedures and that they are following them. You also want to ensure that the assignments provided to the student are also within their scope of practice and their scope of competence. Be sure to have a plan for regularly monitoring the student's progress. Some of the tasks associated with the administrative function include weekly one-on-one supervision for a minimum of 1 hour per week. Group supervision is always a wonderful and beneficial supplement, but it does not replace individual supervision with the students. Developing agency-specific goals and objectives when setting up the learning plan are an essential function of this task. When assigning cases and tasks, it's important to assess and understand the student's level of knowledge and understanding. Once you have assessed, you can successfully ensure that the student is being provided adequate time and access to resources for their success. The goal is for the student to master the skills required in their newly identified professional role. Another administrative task is monitoring the student's acculturation to the agency. Ask yourself, ask the student, how are they adjusting to the agency? What is their level of comfort? And do they appear to be interacting with agency staff? These questions should be addressed in your supervision session. You also want to be monitoring, reviewing, and evaluating all student work, including their documentation. One of the most common struggles for students is, in fact, documentation, as many are new to this role and do not necessarily understand the requirements or the infrastructure regarding documentation. You'll want to be sure that you are paying close attention and providing timely reinforcement and feedback. We'd like to also ask you to remember that students will make mistakes as they are learning their new role. As the field or practicum instructor, you get to be the administrative advocate and buffer for the student in that role. And lastly, Maintaining contact with the faculty liaison is so incredibly important and cannot be stressed enough. We encourage you to reach out as often as necessary with questions or concerns, and please do not wait for the site visit to contact the liaison. The second function of a field or practicum instructor is educational. The educational function focuses on the field instructor as the student's teacher in the field. You focus on teaching the intern to perform the job, which includes the skills, knowledge, and approach to their work at an agency level and from a social work perspective. The goal of this function is to help the student be able to apply critical thinking to inform their professional judgment and to effectively communicate. It's the application of classroom learning into the practice and the integration of professional and personal identity into practice. This includes self-development, reflection, and modeling use of self and exposing the students to learning activities at micro, meso, and macro levels. Throughout the process, it's critical to provide ongoing feedback, supervision, and evaluation. The hope is that students will be trained for the social work profession and recognize that they are able to transfer the skills that they have learned across broad practice areas and not just related to specific agency-based practice. The third and final function is that of support. The key to this function is the management of work-related stress and assistance to the intern in coping with work-related issues. The psychological health and well-being of the intern cannot be underestimated. Successful support can lead to professional and personal development, an environment that enhances motivation to learn, and it will lead to growth management of job-related stress that will enhance the learning in the work environment in the years to come. A lack of support can lead to a lack of trust. It can lead to low performance or anxiety, even resentment, and negative feelings about the profession and/or the agency. The challenge for field or practicum instructors is remaining focused on supporting the student's professional growth, but not overstepping into a therapist role. A supportive role is not a therapy role, and if at any time you feel you are treating the student similar to how you would treat a client or work with a client, then an important step is to evaluate the relationship and professional boundary, and to seek additional consultation or support from the field liaison or a member of the university team. Let's take a few minutes and have you reflect on the collaborative nature of the relationship that is fundamental in all of the functions of a field or practicum instructor, as well as the relationship that exists between you, the student, and the liaison. Please take the time to reflect and write down your responses to the following questions. Number 1, when you think about your role as a field instructor, whether you are new or returning, what is your philosophy of or an approach to helping the student identify and develop as a professional and in terms of their skills? Number 2, how do you collaborate with the university and the student to create a collaborative relationship? How do you foster communication? Number 3, how do you define your role as a social work field practicum instructor and/or supervisor? And last, do you approach your role as a shared experience? Why or why not? If you do, what is it that you're doing that is creating that experience? And if you aren't, what are the obstacles or barriers to that? There is a correlation between engaging in a shared collaborative experience with the student. There is also an important connection with teaching and modeling the value of building collaborative relationships as a pathway to growth and to provide better services and outcomes. There are a few key steps to building a collaborative relationship. Building a positive relationship through building rapport, showing respect, building trust, and being open and approachable with the student. Discuss your style of communication with the student at the onset of the internship and the initial supervision session, which will help to promote familiarity, increase comfort, and understanding your expectations. Secondly, the student needs to have a voice and learn to be comfortable with discussing their observations, processing their feelings, expressing their vulnerability, and most importantly, their learning needs. We encourage you to work to create a safe space to process and discuss difficult issues, to encourage a discussion of differences in perspectives or of opinion. We encourage you to create those spaces to ensure modeling of professional and ethical self-disclosure, all while allowing for critical thinking and reflection. Research shows that when reflection is invited, the student's involvement increases and intensifies their level of participation. Equally important to understanding today's student is the few steps that we would like to introduce you to. Students want to access immediate resources and skills building when they're in their internship. It's like they want you to give them the automatic recipe for how to create that cake, right? As instructors, we must balance allowing the student to access resources and search for practice approaches while challenging them to ensure that the information that they are gathering is both evidence and research-based. We know that students use Google and are now using other AI programs to look for interventions, but they are not necessarily ensuring that the information that they are getting is credible. So it is essential that you be monitoring this process with the student. So in addition to assisting them with identifying and adopting evidence-based practices and intervention, it's also important to be empathetic and strengths-based focused when working with your student. We now return to orienting you to the remainder of the roles in a field or practicum education program. The next role is that of the task supervisor or preceptor. A secondary supervisor may be assigned to the student. This person is a source of information and guidance and may offer specific service assignment or provide day-to-day training or even provide oversight on cases. This person may or may not necessarily be an MSW level professional. This individual may assume several responsibilities under the director of the agency or the field instructor. The field practicum instructor can consider utilizing a preceptor who can supplement the student's supervision. The field instructor needs to be a part of the setup of a task supervisor to ensure the role differences. In addition, this person, again, may oversee cases based on position. They also may assign cases, but they need to have direct communication with the field or practicum instructor, and will also be able to ensure that they can monitor the student administratively in terms of agency policies and or documentation. The use of a task supervisor or preceptor is considered an enrichment to field or practicum education, but it does not substitute for the minimum hour of supervision or instruction that is required. The roles and responsibilities of a social work student intern are as follows. Students are required to maintain accurate records of their internship hours, including days and times that they were at their site. They are responsible for co-developing the learning plan with you and identifying those tasks and strategies that will be observed and evaluated within the comprehensive skills evaluation. The student is expected to come to supervision prepared, being able to proactively discuss and bring questions to you to identify issues or situations that's related to their scope of work. The social work student is also expected to utilize good time management and have good organizational habits. We expect the students to be able to be prepared and participate actively in supervision, but also to receive positive feedback as well as constructive feedback. Also, to not be left out is the student's adherence to the NSW Code of Ethics, and that the student be able to demonstrate respect for differences in culture, ethnicity, age, gender, religion, sexual orientation, and political belief. The practicum or the field class or the seminar class is not counted toward weekly internship hours. The purpose of this class is it provides the student with a setting to discuss their learning, to integrate classroom and internship experience, and to be able to discuss challenges that occur at their field internship site. These classes are designed to encourage high level of interaction among the students. The frequency of seminars may be slightly differ between each university, but generally speaking, the seminar class has assignments and aligns with syllabi from their MSW or BSW coursework. Students are encouraged to provide you, the field or practicum instructor, with a copy of their practice syllabus at the start of each school term, whether that be quarter or semester. We come to the end of our Module 2 with sharing with you the importance that the student's field experience is the field or practicum instructor and or the preceptor. Social work is a practice profession, and we really emphasize that we are just not teaching our students a trade or a specific set of skills. We remind our field instructors that you are social work educators, that you play a vital role in the professional development of the students. And we know that you do not undertake this responsibility lightly, and we are incredibly grateful for you. Social work requires the application of knowledge, skills, and values, more so, we think, than many other types of professional programs. The educational experience provides the student with an opportunity to excel and show you what they've learned. We also believe that this is an opportunity to also work effectively with clients and the student to develop and enhance their competency. We have concluded Module 2. We thank you for your active attention and participation, and there will be a quiz that you will complete for Module 2 in order to earn your CEUs. Thank you again for your participation, and we hope that you continue to enjoy the remainder of this training.